Aloha, and welcome to Live at the Legislature, where every week we will be sitting down with members of the House of Representatives to talk about concerns, issues, and legislation moving through the halls of the state capitol. This year, the House of Representatives has 10 new lawmakers. It is probably one of the largest and most diverse group of freshman legislators that we have had in a while. More than half of them are women. They range in ages from 34 on up, and they come from a variety and diverse professions. Joining us this morning are two of them. Representative Scott Matoyoshi, he represents the 43rd District, Kaneohe. 49th District. I was still in the 40s. Kaneohe, Manawili, and Olomana. And also joining us is Representative Stacey Lynn Eli. She represents the 49th District.
43rd.
The 43rd District. And Nanakuli, Maili, and Kalailoa.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us today. So tell us, you both sit on the powerful Finance Committee. You've been going through committee hearings on the state budget. You have gone through an opening day. You heard the state of the state. So as our two freshman legislators, how has the experience been for you so far? Scott?
Oh, it's been incredible so far. I mean, it's been a lot busier than I could have ever imagined, but I'm really encouraged. Like you said, we have a very diverse class. We have an enormous freshman class. I've been very surprised at how fantastic our class is. I mean, I'm really enjoying all of the members of it. We have returning members, so they have a lot of experience to give and share to us, and we also have a lot of younger members, like Stace and I are both on the younger side. We're both 34, and I think that adds just a lot of energy and kind of just a dynamic feeling, and I'm just really looking forward to working with them all.
Well,
very
great,
exciting.
Great. And Stacey, what about you? Is it what you've expected?
I think it's been what I've expected, but a lot more. Just like Scott shared, just really excited to work with all my colleagues, especially our freshman class, because as you said, we are so diverse. So far it's been a really good experience, but very busy, a lot busier than I had anticipated. But so far it's been a great experience.
Well, yesterday we heard from the governor in his State of the State address. It was a very bold State of the State address in both delivery and in his vision and ideas. Stacey, what was your reaction to that?
I'm actually really, again, optimistic in what the governor has shared. It was very bold, but I think in the times that we're living, we have to be bold. The public that we serve is demanding bold decisions when it comes to education as well as housing. And so I'm looking forward, especially being on finance, to see how we can work with our governor, with our colleagues, to come up with a plan for our state.
And what about you, Scott? What did you think about it?
I thought it was, like you said, very bold. The two things that I wanted to sort of highlight in his were his housing plan, so his adoption of Stanley Chang's Aloha Homes bill. I think that's very encouraging. I think we do need to take large steps to address the affordable housing and just the housing market in general by providing more supply in the market, and especially around transit-oriented development hubs. I think that's very important. I've always said, we are the state. The state is for the people. If the state land is not being used for the people, I don't know what we're using it for. So if we have state land that we're able to do to solve or at least greatly impact this housing crisis that we're experiencing, it would be irresponsible for us not to use it and not to use every resource we have to further that cause. The second thing I wanted to sort of highlight that I was very encouraged about was his emphasis on early childhood education. As a former teacher, I actually taught in Stace's district as a middle school science teacher. It is incredibly important that we catch these kids early, that we give them every advantage that they can have going into school so they don't fall behind. I taught middle school science, and by the time they get to me, sometimes they'd be 2 or more years behind. Incredibly difficult for them to catch back up. We can't let it get to that point. We need to give them the tools that they need coming in the first place. And I really appreciate the governor's message on that. One of the concerns I've got, though, is that we're already about 1,000 teachers short a year. His proposal would add 300 new positions, and we're having trouble even filling the ones we've got.
Right.
So that's a huge challenge coming up for our state. His proposal will somewhat exacerbate the situation. Again, I think we're moving in the right direction. but I think we've also got to be thinking of the other problems that are going to come up and how we're going to address those problems as well. So teacher recruitment, teacher retention, teacher training, we've got to support these teachers in the classroom so that they can be there for our kids.
Well, you know, as we said, you both sit on the finance committee, and he had bold ideas, but they're also going to cost a lot of money. So, any thoughts on that?
I think with session just opening, we are at the beginning of the process. We have been going through info briefings prior to that, but I think right now we need to work together to come up with a plan, and I think it would be premature to say that we can't do it. I think it's doable. We just have to make sure that we plan, for our state in the long run and plan smart. So I have faith in my colleagues that we're going to work together, to see what we can do to address the issues as discussed, because my community has been experiencing for years a teacher shortage, not just in my high school, but in my elementary schools. So that is something that we are really concerned about, and we're going to tackle it.
Well, let's get down to the specifics of your priorities for your district. So, Stacy Lynn, what are some of the issues facing your district, and what do you hope to do about them?
So my district has not received capital improvement monies for the last few years. So my priority is to make sure that we see them this time, to address issues like transportation. We have a 5th lane that we are trying to work with DOT to get done between Helilua and Hakimo on the Waianae coast. My schools also, have facilities that need to be maintained and addressed. So these are the priorities for my district.
What about you, Representative Matayoshi?
My focus has always been the schools, and as you know, the windward side, it rains pretty constantly. That takes its toll on the infrastructure for schools. I know that the Kapunahala Elementary School parking lot, it looks like it got an artillery bombardment. The potholes are so big. So
it looks like the Poly.
Yeah,
That's what it looks like, right?
A little less patched.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that our schools have large infrastructure concerns that I'd like to address, and that's sort of what I'm pushing with CIP funding. Another problem that I've been speaking with the DOT about, Department of Transportation about, is getting another left turn lane put in by the Burger King. Right now, we've got a huge median, so we've got the space to put in another left turn lane and to lengthen them. Right now, that left turn lane turning onto Likelike Highway is backing up 2 or 3 blocks. Almost to Kaneohe Elementary School, which puts those kids in danger as well. And when people are cutting around, it's just kind of a health safety concern of mine. So I'm really working with them to try to put in that infrastructure if we can to make that turn safer and to make it so that people don't have to cut through the surrounding community to sort of shortchange that intersection.
So what I'd like to find out, and maybe I should have asked you this in the beginning, but why did you decide to run for elected office, Stacy?
I was born and raised in my community. My family's been there for 5 generations, so pretty much forever. But we have, generational issues that we are facing right now in our state. And I just felt that my community needed a representative, that could really be the voice of our district and really fight for the things that we need. We talk about change and, wanting to see better and do better, and that's what I want to do.
And what about you, Representative Matayoshi?
I think for me, it really turned on my background as a public school teacher. Those years I spent in the classroom really made me realize the disparity that exists in our state between the haves and the have-nots. I wanted to make a difference, and as a teacher, I felt like I could make a difference in the lives of about 150 kids at a time. But after that, they'd go on to another grade, and I'd sort of, I could keep in contact with them. I could help them out some, but it wasn't the impact that I was hoping for. As a state legislator, I'm hoping to make an impact on thousands of teachers, each impacting hundreds of kids. I feel like my efforts can be magnified. I can do more at this level. And not that public school teaching is not important at all. Incredibly, incredibly important. I really feel like we're shortchanging education by not investing in our teachers and investing in our schools, shortchanging our future, really. But I think that the way to make a bigger difference for me was through the state legislature, and I'm hoping to do that.
Well, one of the things that will be coming up, as you know, the CONAM was voted down, so funding for the Department of Education will be a big issue right now this session, and always is a big issue. What do you say to the folks who say, but we need to take a closer look at the DOE, at how they're spending their money, in 30 seconds or so? Stacy?
We need to do that. I mean, that's our responsibility, as legislators, as public servants, to really take a look at it. We appreciate what the DOE does, but we still have to take a look at what's being done to make it better.
Scott, any thoughts on that?
Yeah. I'm glad that they're starting to modernize their systems. I think that accountability is a huge thing. Knowing where the money is going and where the money is being spent is incredibly important. From our last finance briefing with the Department of Education, they are rolling out a better electronic system so that the legislature and I believe the public will have access to the information they need to know where the money is going. But we need to make sure that the money we're giving the DOE is having the greatest impact possible. And to me, that's in the classroom. Having teacher supports outside the classroom, fantastic, but really we're short teachers, and that's leading to incredible classroom sizes, which any teacher will tell you that is devastating to the kids. Having a classroom of 30, 35 kids, very, very different than having a classroom of 20 or 25 kids. So I really think that we need to pull our resources maybe from teachers that are currently in more supportive roles at the district office, pull them back into the classroom and distribute that load.
Well, I'm sure we're going to be hearing a lot from both of you, Representative Eli from Nanakuli and Representative Matoyoshi from Kaneohe. And thank you for joining us today for Live at the Ledge. We will see you again next week, bright and early. Aloha.